Welcome to Monday Morning Commerce, where we chat with the manufacturers, wholesalers, and retailers leading the way in the new era of digital commerce. Join us as we explore the technology and strategies used to fuel these successful companies. Now here's your Monday morning host, Travis Merrier.
All right, welcome everyone to the Factory Web Podcast. Today we've got Dan Robison from Capitol Wholesale Fence. Dan, we're going to be talking a little bit about your B2B ordering system you've got and kind of how you've been streamlining your back-end operations with it. But first off, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Well, Dan, real quick, just to kind of jump right into it, I want to kind of get a feel and let our listeners kind of hear a little bit more about yourself, kind of where you fit in with Capitol, how long you've been with them, all of that, as well as Capitol Wholesale Fence, what you guys do, maybe where you're located, just kind of the 10,000-foot overview of the company as well.
Well, we started out, I've been with the company for over 40 years. We've got locations in Nashville, Tennessee, Chattanooga, Tennessee, Lexington, Kentucky. We've also got a location in Laurel Hill, North Carolina, where under the brand name of Atlantic Fence Manufacturing, we build ornamental fencing. Along with our Capitol Wholesale operation there. That's pretty much the scenario of the company. We've been around since 1965, so we've got a long history.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but you guys build fences for just about anything, right?
Yes. We do chain link, ornamental. Well, we sell the product, not so much build them, but we do construct most of the chain link gates. We do fabricate a lot of the different vinyl fences, but we sell all types of chain link, ornamental, aluminum, and steel.
Right. So if I wanted to get a fence for the backyard, or if I'm setting up a jail, you guys basically cover it, right?
We should have the material for you.
That's awesome. Okay. Well, very cool. So let's jump into, and as I mentioned earlier in the pre-interview, Dan, I mean, most of our podcast listeners, they're listening in to learn a little bit about the manufacturing industry, but specifically how you're kind of streamlining your business and how you're working with your customers from a technology standpoint. So one of the first questions, I like to ask is, who really are your customers, and how do they find you now currently, and kind of just walk through your core customers that you work with.
Well, 95% of our customers are fence contractors, and they range from large commercial fence contractors to the guy that has his own little business, his pickup truck, and runs out and puts the fence around your backyard. They range the whole gamut. We like I said, 95% of our business is there. We do sell to the public if they walk in. We don't advertise to the public, but we will sell to the public.
And as far as getting on new dealers, right? I mean, that seems like your core customer are these dealers of your fence, whether they're little shops or they're putting up fences and they're actually like owning a construction company. How often are you getting new customers? Do you have like a stable base that you've had for years, long-standing relationships? Are you constantly getting new ones that you're onboarding and showing how to use your systems? Can you walk us through that?
Yes, we have a core base of the commercial type customers that are dealing in relatively larger jobs. What's historically been the case of most of the people that do the small residential fencing, they kind of go and come. So we see new customers coming in all the time, and then we see customers who are no longer participating in that market. But most of these, like I said, are the small dealers, the 1-2-man operation, and they're doing the yards and stuff. And it is a very competitive market, so people get in to make a little money, and after a couple, 3 years, a lot of times they get out if they have not expanded into the bigger market. So we are seeing a lot. We do see a lot of new customers. The core customers, the bigger dealers are pretty. They stay around for a long time, and we'll see some of them grow every year and grow into that category, and they stay around. But the biggest place that we have found The new people getting into it, the smaller dealers, where we found that this helps us a lot is we have set our website up to, although they think they know fence, most of them will miss things when they figure a job.
Yeah.
We have it set up on our website to where you go in, you can pull down a job sheet. It will pretty well walk you through everything you're going to need for a chain link fence or an ornamental fence. They're in categories, but it will give you a sheet so you can go down across it picking out the items you need, eliminating a lot of the missed brackets and stuff like that. So we found it's been a big help there. Of course, the biggest help in that area has been the fact that these people and even our ordinary fence dealers, our core customers, they enjoy going onto the site. They don't have to wait for us to give them a quote. They can get their own quote, and it's transmitted to us. That's helped us not have to have a huge staff during the summer months when our business is big, and then not having anything for them to do during the winter months.
Yeah. And that was actually my next question, so that's perfect. Is, I was curious how they ordered from you, and I know we've worked together as well. Full disclaimer that we've worked with your business on our side at Factory Web, but I was curious. It sounds like the big ones even too. They do order through that your B2B order portal, your dealer login, and that seems to be the preferred method, I would think, for your guys' business, even though they can still, I guess, fax in orders, email orders, do phone calls, right? I mean, all of those are still available, right? But if really you had to pick, it's them going through that portal.
Yes, and honestly, that's been a process with us. I think it's been about 3 years ago, 2-3 years ago now, we started that process. And first of all, you would have to know our customer base. They aren't all tech savvy.
Right.
So although it is a very usable feature, you got to do a little pushing and prodding to get them to use it.
Right.
And what we have found is the younger members of these companies are the ones using it. The guy that started the company, he still wants to fax it to us.
Sure, sure. Well, it sounds like you guys are kind of, you're positioning yourself almost for, as these younger employees become the decision makers and maybe take over the dad's business or just move up and climb the corporate ladder, they're probably going to expect that, I would think, right? So it sounds like you guys already have that kind of willing and ready for them.
Right, yes.
Okay, cool. And I, just talking about the technology side of things. So there's tons of different ways to order. Someone calls, someone faxes, someone orders through your dealer portal. How does that work in the back end? I mean, do all those go into one system? I know you guys are on Syspro. Do you find any issues with all those different channels of ordering, or you have it pretty much streamlined so there's not really any kind of conflict?
Well, we kind of have it streamlined so there's no conflict. The nice thing with the Commerciants piece into Syspro is it's automatic. If I decide I want to change a price, I don't have to worry about changing prices across a half a dozen places.
Right.
Everything operates through Syspro. It's downloaded and updated every night. Orders, of course, they're done almost instantaneously. You put an order in Commerciants, I'll have it. In worst case scenario, I'll have it in about 5 minutes.
Right.
Into Syspro, it's already there. That's the very unique thing about it is if you fax me an order, I have to have somebody key it into Syspro. If you email me an order, I have to have somebody key it into Syspro. If you'll simply go on to Commerciants and put it in, I don't need anybody. It gets processed.
Right. Goes directly in there.
Yeah.
And then once it is into Syspro, I'm just curious, and this is one part I honestly don't know about your guys. is there a way to track as far as, in orders in? Do the dealers have any kind of way of tracking? Do they receive an email, or how's the kind of communication with the dealers stay up after the order?
Well, as far as the dealers, when of course they know they submitted it, they are emailed. We also, as soon as they submit an order, actually we have our set so precise or down further that if you go in and get a quote, we get notified. Now, granted, we don't look at every quote. We segregate them. But if there is if it's a $10 quote or a $100 quote, I just take it to be a quote. But if you put in a $20,000 quote, we will follow up with you.
Right,
because we don't want you going anywhere else with that quote.
Makes sense.
But that all comes, it's delegated down to each of our salespeople have customers. They're notified, and then there's 3 of us that are notified on everything that goes through. Now, not to our salespeople watch everything. Like I said, the small quotes I don't pay a lot of attention to. They're there if I ever want to check one, but the big ones I make sure they're followed up on. Right.
And just kind of finally, and we touched on this a little bit earlier, but I think this is an important piece. You talk about, I'm a small dealer or I'm a small fence guy. I'm setting them up in people's backyards. I do know fence a little bit, but as far as ordering and that process, can you talk about how many products you have, the different configurations, and kind of how you guys help them with the technology you use, basically make it a foolproof ordering process?
Well, we've attempted to do that. There are still some areas where you could give us a little problem, but like the aluminum fence, you have a worksheet pull up. It actually has a configurator built in. It tells you need 10 sections. You go in and you put in, I need 10 sections of fence. It's going to tell you, well, in that 10 sections of fence, we better come up with at least 11 posts in some combination.
Right.
Or you may have an issue, and as soon as you tell it you want the 11 or 12 posts, it'll tell you, okay, you need these caps and these fittings to go with it. Chain link, same way. Once you put in your footage, it figures how much top rail you need, how many line posts you need. You do have to tell it the corner and gate posts, just because there's not a way of really figuring that. But once you do that, it gets all of your fittings involved in there. It saves them time, plus it saves them missing an item. I know when I first started here, I figured a lot of fences, and it's so easy to miss a hinge. And now we've eliminated some of that. And if you miss a hinge and you can't hang the guy's gate when you're out there, he's not going to write you a check.
Fair enough. And it sounds like it helps you guys, right? Because it's easier for the ordering side of things. You don't have someone on the phone walking through, like, make sure you get this, make sure you get that.
Right.
And then on the side of the dealer, it helps them. They're not, like you said, they're writing them a check without them missing a bracket at the last minute.
Yeah, it helps them, and it helps us because they're putting it in their own orders. It also, I guess the biggest place, or not the biggest place, but another place is when a customer calls us and we don't tell him something he needs, then he'll get out on a job and he'll call us up, well, you guys didn't tell me this, and we're strictly customer service. We'll end up putting somebody on a truck to run it out to them.
Right.
And that's not good for us, but it's part of our customer service. But it's eliminated that stuff too. We don't make the mistake.
No, yeah, makes sense. No, and that's why I wanted to touch on that a little bit more, because it seems like it's been great. I'm sure there was tons of headaches before. It's a great example of technology really taking a big headache and making it easier for you guys and giving better service to your dealers, which is awesome. Yeah. Well, that's Dan. Like I said, this should be too long, and I think we got a lot out of what Capitol Wholesale is doing to kind of streamline their B2B ordering system and how you guys integrate with Syspro. I think it's pretty helpful for a lot of the people who are listening that might want to implement something similar. So is there anything else I might have missed, anything else that might be beneficial, or did we touch on just about everything regarding your B2B system?
Oh, I think we touched on the majority of everything. You know, I mean, I would tell anybody, look, don't do this, and 30 days later say it's not working, because customers, you got to change them. And if they've been used to calling you in, you give it 6 months, a year, you're going to see a difference.
Right.
A huge difference. But it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen the first week you put it in.
Sure. You almost have to have a communication plan, right?
Yeah, we actually when we first converted over, we actually had a young lady here. She was doing other things for us, but we actually put her on the phone, and we would call up 3 or 4 customers and do go-to-meetings and actually walk them through it. I think that helped a great deal.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up.
It was not something that we let them find out about. We kind of initiated the push and said, look, we would like for you guys to use this. Now, it wasn't 100%, but I think it helped greatly. And I would recommend to anybody, if you're going to do that, you make plans to do that after you get it up and get it pretty solid.
Yeah, good stuff. Technology can only go so far. It's about the process and the people behind it. That's good stuff, Dan. All right, well, perfect. Dan, I do want to thank you again for coming on the show. Anyone that's listening, you know, if you're listening in the car or whatever, as you drive, we have all the show notes, helpful resources, links to the products we talked about, the software, all that stuff will be at factorywebsolutions.com/podcast. Head over there to check out more about the show and about this one specifically. And Dan, thanks again. I will talk to you soon again, I'm sure.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thanks.